Being a chartered management consultant is, for me, a recognition of my expertise, my experience, and my ability within the profession. So it's a real seal of the quality of the work that I do.
At the moment, we're part of quite a select group. It's still a differentiator in the marketplace. We need to make sure that we're transparent in what we're doing and that we're able to show the value that we're bringing and that we're clear about that.
You wouldn't get an accountant to do your accounts if they were not chartered. You wouldn't get an architect to build your house if they were not chartered. As we move forward, I strongly believe that the chartered status will become prevalent within the industry. It will become a de facto standard that clients expect when they engage with consultancies.
Hello and welcome to this Chartered Management Consultant event, Transforming Careers and Firms. I'm Josh Campbell. I work in the commercial team for CHMC, and I'll be joined later by Stephanie Sears, who works in our engagement team. A few bits of housekeeping. The session is going to be recorded, and we'll be sending out a pack with the recording and some other relevant information that you're going to hear about today. The main point of today is twofold. One is to give you an overview of the CHMC product, how, why, what, and then give you some in-depth information from Steph in terms of actually how you can go about becoming chartered. So let's look at the headlines first. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So what is CHMC at a top level? Essentially, it's as with any chartership, it's the highest level of practical excellence that you can attain. The consulting industry, a feature of it is that it's not as highly regulated as some other industries, such as accountancy, surveying, for example. So there's no barrier to entry, but at the same time, that has created some issues around really consultants being able to understand what best practice looks like and advertise the fact that they understand what best practice looks like. And so our role over the past 5 years has been first to create a chartership, which was built by the consulting industry in partnership with the Management Consultancies Association, and we've underwritten it and then assess all candidates against it. So essentially what it offers you is that clarity for you, clarity for your customers, and just shows that you're both operating at the top of your game and also that you're committed to ethical and professional practice. Now, that's the same as any chartership in any industry. And the good news for most of the people on this call who are independents is that it's available both to firms and also to independent consultants. So at the moment, we've got over 1,800 chartered management consultants, as you'll see at the bottom. We've got 2,000 more on the way, and we've got 60 firms plus and growing increasingly day by day who have committed to this standard. So you're in good company. It's fast growing, but what we want to make sure is that you get the information that you need today to enable you to decide whether now is the time for you to move forward with CHMC. So if we move on to the next part, the benefits of CHMC are threefold. One is for individuals, one is for firms, and then the other is for your clients. So if I start in the middle with firms, as you'll have heard on the introductory video, it's a differentiator. It's a way of firms showing that their consultants are operating at the highest possible level, and it's both a talent management strategy for firms, and also it's a fact that they advertise out to their clients that you can be rest assured by trading with us that you're going to be dealing with consultants who are operating at this highest level. And that's the same for you as an individual. So it both gives you those binomials that you can advertise in your profile, but also the biggest byproduct that we hear about is that it's a very reflective practice. This is not a training course. This is a reflective practice of you, what you've done, what your highlights are, how you want to improve as a consultant. And so it's very rare in any role, but particularly if you're an independent consultant, to give yourself the time to sit back and reflect. And then the other thing we hear is it's confidence in competence. So you are measuring yourself against an industry-built highest standard. And so once you've been assessed and got through it, you know that you're operating the highest standards that the industry can offer. And so if we flip then over to the right, this is an independent kite mark, if you like, of quality. And really, up until we released CHMC, there were very few ways for firms to know that the consultancy that they're buying in is mapped to that any sort of empirical standard. And key is also, as it is with any chartership, that within this there's a commitment to the highest standard of ethical practice. So essentially, that's what CHMC is all about. It's about raising standards in the consulting industry and giving you as an individual or you as a firm assurance that you're operating against the highest standard and confidence that you're doing so. So what you're going to hear Steph talking through later is how you do that. But essentially, this is why you might want to do it. And you're in good company, because as we move forward to the next slide, you'll see from that there's a number of firms that have already joined us on this journey. The biggest increase we're seeing at the moment is amongst the independent community, however. So for those independents out there, this is very much a growing trend. But I'm not going to go through all the names on there. We've recently also had Capgemini and Accenture join that community. We're really pleased and excited about that as well. So these are firms that have made this commitment to CHMC and are helping to promote it both internally and then externally to their clients. So that's at a top level what CHMC is all about. But the next slide is where we're going to start getting into the detail. So essentially, this is it. And for anyone watching, this is the key slide. And what we'll send out afterwards is a lot more material around the framework. So as I said, back in 2019, 2020, we went out to the consulting industry and said to them, look, you tell us what best practice looks like in your industry. And this is essentially what they came up with. There's 4 elements to it. And as I said, today, with the time we have, we'll skip through this, but we are going to provide you with the detail to enable you to really get to grips with this. And I would say that anyone looking at going forward, this essentially is your due diligence point. This is the point for you to really understand the work that you do and whether it maps against this framework, because essentially this is what you are assessed against by our assessors to prove whether you can become chartered or not. So at the core, as I've mentioned a couple of times already, we want to see evidence of ethical practice. So how are you ensuring that you always act in your client's best interests? The second area is around leadership and management, not necessarily formal leadership, but where you've led initiatives, where you've led virtual teams in your career. The fourth part, I was going to skip point 3 because I'm going to come back to it. Fourth part is that we would then expect you, once you are chartered, to be always looking to develop your practice from formal or informal. So anything from going on a training course to reading books, watching videos. So anything that you identified that you think is going to further improve your practice as a consultant. So the bit in the middle is the key. So this third section, we want to understand more about your clients. And a U is a really interesting term here. So this is a highly individualized, reflective practice that you're going on. So we don't want to know about the firm that you work for. We don't want to know about the team that you operate in. We really want to know about you, the work you've done, the difference that you've made. So we want to understand about your clients and the sector that you operate in. Then we want to know more about how you do strategy analysis. And then finally, we want to understand how you deliver. So essentially what you're doing is you are first writing and then talking to us about all the relevant points in this area. You will normally end up talking to around 4 to 6 case studies, but Steph's going to talk about that in more detail. And just as you as an individual can go through the process, anyone representing their firm, we can assess a firm's program in exactly the same manner. And we'd want to see some sort of progression stages, which is the bottom left. So we want to understand what you do with your early career staff all the way through to associate level, and we'll explain what that means in a while. And then finally, your chartered community. So that's the framework. And like I say, the most important next step for anyone on this call will be to really understand what the framework's all about. So it's a nice segue into introducing Steph, who's going to talk you through the routes to chartered, how you get there, and then we'll come back to me for next steps and questions. So Steph, over to you.
Thanks, Josh. So now we're going to discuss the routes to chartership, really. So first of all, I'll cover the routes that are available to independent consultants, and then I'll cover the routes that are available to accredited firms. So first of all, in terms of independent consultants, so you can apply online, and we have a diagnostic tool online that you can apply, and you just get taken through a few short questions to identify the most suitable pathway for you. In terms of the routes available for independent consultants, you've got the qualified route, and you must have a CMI level 5 or level 7 diploma to apply, and a minimum of 4 years of management consulting experience as well to apply for the qualified route. And that's, if you successfully complete it, will lead you to full chartership status. Also, you have access to the experienced professional standard assessment or depth interview routes, which I'll come onto in further detail afterwards. And for the experienced professional routes, you do need to have a minimum of 5 years of management consulting experience. And again, that will lead you to the full chartership award. In terms of company accreditation and accredited firms, so accredited firms do need to go through an accreditation process with us. And once they successfully complete that accreditation process, they do have access to our accredited program and our senior leader routes. So on the accredited program, we have 2 routes. We have the associate CHMC on program and the full chartership on program route. For the associate chartership route, you do need to have a minimum of 2 years of experience, and you do need to be able to meet the applied level competencies in the competency framework, which Josh mentioned on the previous slide. For the full chartership on program route, you do need a minimum of 4 years of experience, and you do need to meet the chartered level competencies. In terms of the senior leader route, so once you've got the kind of basic level of program accreditation as a company, as a firm, you then can also choose to access our expanded accreditation process as well. Once you've completed that expanded accreditation process successfully, you then are able to access our senior leader route, which requires a minimum of 5 years of management consulting experience. And we will work with you to understand your minimum eligible grade within your firm, which will be eligible to access that senior leader route. And that will lead to full chartership as well. So if we could move on to the next slide, I'll go into talking about what the assessment process looks like for all of our routes except for the senior leader route. So once you register, you will receive a welcome email, and it will have all the information in there that you need to complete both stages of your assessment. So it will include your submission deadline, a link to an online guidance and support hub, which is a unique link for you, which has all the documentation you will need to support you in completing your assessment. From the point that you register, you will have 90 days to complete the written submission, and you do need to upload it via our online form. Once your submission is uploaded, it will be reviewed by one of our assessors within 15 working days, and they will contact you directly to schedule a professional discussion with you. It's then your job to prepare for and attend the professional discussion. And once you've completed both stages of the assessment process, the written submission and the professional discussion, your assessment will be independently moderated and you will receive your result via email, which will either be a pass or a fail. What happens once you've successfully completed the assessment process? You'll receive your digital badge and your certificate within 30 days of you receiving your results email. If you are following one of the routes to full chartership, you will receive an invoice for your first membership payment of £50, which is an annual membership payment to retain your status, and is a requirement of being on the chartered register. And following 12 months of being chartered, you will be eligible to submit continuous professional development CPD evidence as and when requested by our CHMC team. So now we're going to move on to our next slide, which I will talk in a little bit more detail about the CHMC assessment process. So in terms of the written submission, there are 5 sections, regardless of the routes that you go down, again, except for that senior leader route. So our accredited programme routes and our experienced professional routes and the qualified route, you will have a written submission that you will need to complete these 5 sections that you can see on the screen. The second section is not included in the depth interview route, as it is a shorter submission route, but there is a slightly longer professional discussion. In the professional discussion, so the main purpose of the professional discussion is to validate evidence that you have provided in your submission about your experience, your knowledge, your skills and your behaviours, and for you to provide further examples as well. It's a real discussion with a fellow professional, so all of our assessors have extensive years of experience in the management consulting industry, and they're all chartered themselves. In terms of the professional discussion kind of duration, so for the accredited programme routes, the qualified and the experienced professional standard routes, it's a 1-hour professional discussion. And for the experienced professional depth interview route, as I just mentioned, because it has that shorter written submission piece, the professional discussion does last slightly longer, and it will be a 2-hour professional discussion. As I mentioned previously, once you've completed both stages of the assessment process, you will receive your result, which will either be a pass or a fail result. And now I'm going to hand back over to Josh to talk you through the next steps.
Thanks, Steph. So yeah, if we can move on to the next slide, I'll just give you an idea of what to do next. So as I said, we're always conscious that we chuck out a lot of words, a lot of information in this session. So the very next thing to do will be we'll be sending out a pack. The most important thing to do on that is to read the competency framework to make sure that you've got the minimum years of required experience against that framework. It doesn't need to be concurrent. You do need to be practicing currently, but you can be looking at examples from 5, 10, 15 years ago. So, but it has to be against the framework. That's the key. Then is think about when you want to do it. This is not an insignificant undertaking. The average amount of time for the full written submission from the research that we've done is around 20 hours worth of effort. And we give you 90 days. So you need to find a window when you know that you'll have the time to do the reflection. So don't rush into this. Make sure that you've read the framework. Make sure you know you've got the time. And then all the information you need around pricing, we will be sending all that out. But everything's on the route identifier on our website. The link will come out on the slides. So it's an online shopping experience. You can sign up online as soon as you're ready, and then off you go. So that's pretty much it. If you work for a firm and you want to talk about it, the very next step would be to book a session with us. We're going to send you some, obviously with the email address, you'll have relevant contact points for us as well. So like I say, you can do this whenever you're ready, as long as you've got the experience. Work out the best time when you can get started and sign up at that point. So what we've got coming up now is a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and the team will feed them through to us. If there's any individual questions, we'll answer them individually, not on this session. We have been sent 4 questions in advance, so I'll go through those first, and then we'll take any further questions that we get from the floor. Otherwise, we'll finish at that point. But so we had a number of various versions of this first question, which was around, does internal and external consultant count towards experience? And the simple answer to that is yes. So as long as it maps back to the framework, we don't mind if that experience that you have is from internal consulting or external consulting. The only point on internal consulting is it's that critical friend that we're looking for. So rather than just working towards a defined project, where have you specifically maybe challenged the status quo, or where has your expertise been used to drive the answer rather than just working towards a defined project? But yes, we're happy with either. So don't be put off if you're currently in an internal consulting role. The second question, which we think we've answered a number of times today, but the question comes up every single time we do this, is am I okay as an independent to apply for CHMC? And the question is an emphatic yes. We'd love to see anyone. We don't care what your job title is, by the way. That's irrelevant. It's all about the work that you do and mapping that back to the framework. So as long as that's the work that you're doing and you're doing that currently, then yes, that's fine. Please feel free to, and we strongly encourage you to. And as I said, I think the biggest surge we're seeing is from that independent community. So please don't be put off if you're independent. In fact, the opposite. So the third one, this is a bit of a longer one, so bear with me. But we do have some people on the call who've got the CMC accreditation, and I've asked around various questions around CMC, fast tracking maybe to chartership. Now, CMC is a globally recognised accreditation. My understanding is you need 3 years of experience. It's similar concept to chartership. It's a similar process, but it's a different framework, and it's different. So chartered management consultant is a chartership. And as we've explained right at the beginning, charterships follow specific criteria. So there's no fast track. So if you've got a CMC award, it will help you undoubtedly to reflect. It is different, and there is no fast track route available. As Steph pointed out, if you've done a level 5 qualification or level 7 qualification, you can get chartered after 4 years as opposed to 5. But that's very different to us just saying, well, yes, as a CMC, you can do a shortened submission. So it's linked, but it is different. So hopefully that answers that question. Now, coming up on the screen, we had a question this morning from Elish, and Steph's going to give us an answer to that one. So I'll just read out the question, Steph, and if you can give us the answer. So the question was, what's unique about this qualification? How does this make me stand out in the industry? And is it comparable to a degree/diploma?
Thanks, Josh. So it's not comparable to a degree or diploma, but as I mentioned previously, for the qualified route, you do need that at a minimum the level 5 diploma. before you can apply for our qualified routes. In terms of making you stand out in the industry, Josh previously mentioned many benefits for yourself, for your firm, and also for your clients as to why this award will really help you stand out in the industry. From what we hear in terms of feedback from consultants who have been through the process, it's been a fantastic opportunity for self-reflection, and it's really helped them in how they kind of conduct themselves moving forward, and just also being that benchmark and really that stamp of approval for them in terms of their kind of future projects that they lead on and that they manage. So I think really it goes back to what Josh mentioned previously, just all those key benefits at the start of the call, as to really what sets this Chartership Award apart and really helps to ensure that you are achieving kind of the highest standards, and you're recognised for that.
Fantastic. So we've had one question that's come in during the call today, which is, what would you advise as a next step? I'll give my answer, Steph. Maybe you can give yours. So I would say the very next step is wait until we send out the pack. That will be coming out later this week to everyone who's registered for the event. I would start with the framework. It all starts and ends there. So there's 2 documents we'll be sending. One is a general overview of what the CHMC framework's all about. So I would start with that just to make sure you're in the right ballpark. If you're then thinking, right, I want to push the button, I would then read. It's a 25-page document, so it's not a quick read, but in terms of a due diligence document before you push the button, I would be looking at that. That's as an independent. As a firm, if you've got more questions, well, as I said, just respond to the email and drop me a line, and we can have a one-to-one chat. Steph, have you got any other sort of thoughts?
No, I think you covered it really, really well. I would definitely recommend starting with that competency framework document. As Josh mentioned, it's kind of by no means any lunchtime reading. It is a 25-page document, but I think it will really help you understand the detail of what evidence we're expecting you to provide against the competency framework when you come to writing that submission. So it really helps you to kind of understand what's expected of you and what you're expected to demonstrate.
Okay, and there's one more that's coming. Let me just, it's around non-UK residents. Yes, that's fine. CHMC is recognised globally. The only stipulation, I think, Steph, is that the assessment is completed in English, both the written and the professional discussion, if that's right.
Yeah.
So that's the only stipulation. Apart from that, you can be anywhere in the world. You can sign up for anywhere in the world. We charge it in UK pounds because we're a UK organisation. But yes, you can be anywhere, and we are now seeing Middle East and Africa. We're seeing a lot of interest from consultants in those parts of the world. So, but anywhere in the world, we would welcome you as part of the community. I don't think I can see any more questions in the chat. So. All that's left for me to say is listen, thanks for taking time out of your day. Thanks for coming on the session. We hope it's answered the questions. If it hasn't, by all means, drop us a line and we'll be in touch with you later this week with some more information for you. Thanks again and goodbye.
Don't forget, as a CMI member, you can find the latest management and leadership insights at managers.org.uk. If you're not yet a member, join our community to discover CMI Confidence with on-demand resources, our network of mentors, and industry-leading accreditations.